So here's 5 things I wish I would have told myself 5 years ago. Number 1, count on the company to back you up. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to be everything. And depending on how independent you are, you might have a lot of latitude in your job and all the responsibilities that come with that. So if a customer has a credit problem, or a dispute breaks out, or a delivery goes haywire, you might get antsy and try to handle it yourself, which is not a bad thing, but you shouldn't have to bear the whole weight of all of those issues. While you should still be involved, remember to get others involved too. Like tell your manager and your support staff. They can help resolve situations too. Likewise, if you're overloaded on paperwork or other tasks that you feel is holding you back, ask for help. Maybe there's an admin assistant that can help you with paperwork or follow-ups, or maybe there's a junior salesperson willing to pitch in for experience. Number 2, stop stressing about when crap you can't control happens. Now listen, I make enough mistakes on my own time, so when something happens that's not my fault for once, I just get overly frustrated. But it's out of my control. So when the pandemic broke out and the whole supply chain just evaporated, we couldn't get product for our customers. They were obviously unhappy, and it took me months to realize there's literally nothing I could have done differently, and there's nothing I could do now. We worked hard every day to pick up the pieces and repair the business for sure, but I can't take it all on me. At first, I was also worried about my competition coming in like riding in on a white stallion and making me look bad, but we're all in the same boat because they couldn't do it either. Number 3, you will lose customers, and then you'll backfill them. Yeah, you're going to lose clients, you're going to lose accounts, and that's okay and healthy. You can't keep everybody. In fact, you might need to fire some problem accounts at some point. I know what you're thinking. How am I going to replace the income? How am I going to replace the sales volume? Relax. Unless you're in some sort of dying industry, keep doing what you do and you will backfill it. I can't tell you how many times I've fretted over losing accounts just to get a phone call the next day or a few days later replenishing that loss. Of course, you constantly need to have prospects and potential new clients in your orbit funneling around you, coming down towards your direction. So as soon as you catch wind of a client leaving you, you can call up the other person orbiting and say, guess what? I just had some capacity open up if you're interested. Number 4, focus on what your company does well first, then get creative. So stick to the basics at first. You don't have to get creative right off the bat. That's tough for me because I've always liked to innovate, but I learned my lesson by spinning my wheels on things that I thought were important, but in retrospect, they were really just a waste of time. For example, I used to think it was really important for our building supply business that I'm in currently to have this big public persona, and we would increase foot traffic by 1,000%, and we would be the most famous business in town. But none of that mattered to our core business. Our core customers weren't the general public. It was specific partners in the construction industry. I was wasting my time. It's kind of like if I owned a steakhouse and people like coming to enjoy our steaks, but I'm also a big smoothie guy too. Well, I would be dumb to try to mix those two together just because I'm also passionate about smoothies. I'm not saying that you can't open a smoothie shop next door, but you better make sure your steakhouse is in excellent shape before you go doing that. And number 5, last point, stop what you're doing and create systems now to help you be more effective and more efficient later. Hugely important. I just rarely would stop and work on my systems. So what do I mean by systems? I'm talking about my spreadsheets, my costing software, my estimating tools, my personal knowledge, and training up other staff. I just always viewed that as time that I wasn't on the road or I wasn't on the phone selling. But that's just a very closed-minded way to view that. Yeah, it might cost me a day of not pursuing a client or getting ahead with existing business, but it's going to set the stage for everything to work so much better for future and existing business. You just have to stop occasionally and set this up. So ultimately, you can hopefully work less or smarter, not harder. Gotta do it. There's people like this out there that love systems and nuts and bolts and everything. My brother-in-law is like that. He loves new gadgets, new protocols. He had a boat and he was constantly out there tinkering on it, cleaning it, doing maintenance. But me, I'm like, I ain't got the time to do any of that stuff. Let's just take this baby out in the water and hope it doesn't sink. But clearly, that's not going to last long until something burns out. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed these thoughts. Have a great rest of your day. Check me out at salesforintroverts.com.